what Ed's objectives are for this particular speech. You're muted. You're muted, Phil.
Thank you. The purpose of Ed's speech is to present a talk on any topic, to receive feedback, and to apply the feedback to a second speech. Okay, sorry, this is the second speech. So this is the purpose of this speech is for the member, for Ed to demonstrate that he has applied the feedback he received from his first speech evaluation. And this is a 5 to 7 minute speech again on whatever topic. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. So Ed has been a Toastmaster for over 20 years. And one of the things about Toastmasters is we never stop learning. So when we had the old manuals, we actually did the Confident Communicator several times. We didn't just do it one time and then that was it and move on to the next one. We improved each time by going through the Confident Communicator. Pathways is the same. You will find in the beginning of each path that you do, you have the same icebreaker, the same do your speech, get feedback, evaluate a speech. So that will all be coming in the first pathway. So even though Ed has been a Toastmaster for 20 years, he achieved his first CC in 1995 and his Distinguished Toastmasters in 2011, he is still learning, and that is why he continues with Toastmasters, to maintain his speaking and leadership skills and help others on the path. He believes that Toastmasters can be fun, and in addition to helping with personal and professional life successes. So tonight, he is going to share his speech from Trepidation to Intrepid. Please help me welcome Ed Nicholson. Ed.
Trepidation. Intrepid. What's the difference? What does that mean? Fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, I'm going to address that question. But before I do that, I'm going to go way back before I joined Toastmasters. At that time, I was very shy. I had a lot of trouble in communications, especially if I was communicating with an authority figure, communicating with a large number of people, or if I was expected to take on any sort of leadership role. All that stuff just sort of terrified me. I had nothing to do with all that stuff. That was crazy stuff. But it did affect my life, being shy, being unwilling to take on life's challenges like that. And in fact, it was really showing up at work. One day, my supervisor came to me and suggested, because at that time they were all familiar with Toastmasters, because they were just starting this new thing, the new Toastmaster Club at CNL, where I was working at the time. So they were aware, really, a bit of what this Toastmasters could do for people like me. So he recommended that I should join this club. However, this whole idea scared the hell out of me. Like, public speaking? Oh, no way. But then again, perhaps. You see, what happened once, quite by accident, is I had an opportunity to watch a contest-winning speech. It was incredible. After I finished watching that, I said to myself, gee whiz, could I do that? I would like to be able to do that. Now, since I was already familiar with who I should speak to in order to get an invite to a meeting, that part was no trouble at all. I just had to get over this horror I had, this tremendous terror I had about being involved in something like public speaking. I didn't get over that quickly, but at least it got me by the point where I was willing to be a guest at a Toastmaster meeting. So I spoke to the woman who was later to be my mentor, and she talked to me and got invites for me to go not just to one club, but to 2 clubs. And I'm going to tell you a bit about what happened for the first one I went to. That was the actual Chalk River Toastmasters Club. This is a corporate club, and of course, in a corporate situation. Time is so tight. As it turned out, my mentor was stuck at a meeting, and she said, "Go ahead, I'll be along shortly afterward, but you go ahead and get there in time to start the meeting." And of course, by that time, I was getting close to the very beginning of the meeting too. So I rushed over to the meeting, rushed into the room, stopped dead, and looked around. There was this great big table in there full of very important and very busy looking people. What was I going to do? Flee back the way I come? Or perhaps those chairs at the very back of the room. Maybe I'll go over there and sort of hide. Fortunately, it never got to that point because one of the people at the table noticed me, got up and came over to me and welcomed me into the meeting. I felt very, very welcomed at that point. Despite the fact that they were all very busy a moment before getting ready for the meeting, they stopped everything, pushed the chairs about around the table a little bit, made room for me, and made me feel welcome. It was a terrific start. Over the next few, I won't say how long it was, but it was a good period of time. I managed to gradually get more involved in the meetings, got more involved in these dreaded table topics, got involved in some minor roles in the meeting, and yes, my mentor twisted my arm quite a bit so I would practice my icebreaker speech. Got to the point where I was practicing. Oh yeah, it really was just procrastination. I wasn't going to get any better. I had every word I needed to say on a piece of paper. Was I nervous? Oh yeah. At that meeting, where I was going to do my icebreaker speech, Toastmaster introduced me and welcomed me up to the lecture. Yeah, I was nervous. I had every word I was going to say written on my sheet, on my notes. And I read every word that was on there. That was allowed for icebreaker speech. Requirements are not strict. Whatever you can do is important. Well, put it this way. Getting up there, doing your icebreaker speech is the only thing you have to do. Really. That's what I did. I got up there, read every word. By the time I finished, my piece of paper was soaked with the sweat from my hands. I'm sure everybody saw the paper shaking in my hands when I did it. That was amazing. I got to admit that I was in a bit of a buzz for the rest of that meeting. I do remember my evaluator giving me some encouragement, congratulating me again for having the courage to do this. I did it. I felt good. Now, following that, I did quite a few more speeches and got my first competent communicator after you do 10 speeches in the old Toastmaster method. And continued on to the more advanced speeches, and before long, it took a few years. I got the DTM. Now, what did that mean? The DTM is Distinguished Toastmaster. That's the ultimate level of education path in Toastmasters. But along the way, I got a lot of confidence, such that when I needed it, I was able to pull this toolkit out and make use of it. I had interviews to go to when the job I was working on, the whole project I was working on crashed and burned. And I had the ability then to compete with all the other people that were in that group for the few jobs that were available at that time. Not only was it just saving my buns in terms of having a job, but it turned out to be a fantastic opportunity for promotion for me. So that's basically what happened for me. How Toastmasters and my mentor helped me get to be a lot more confident and more skillful person. And that is how I went from Trepidation to Intrepid, from fear to fearless. And I'm happy for it. I'm a Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ed.